Hello. I think today I actually need your help. I finished my first book by Brandon Sanderson and I would like to discuss it and maybe you can recommend me what to do next. So as already mentioned, I finished the first book by Brandon Sanderson and it was Elantris. He's, I think, as far as I remember, his first published book. Elantris is a standalone fantasy and we have three POVs. We follow Serene, Wraithen and Raoden. Elantris used to be a magnificent city filled with godlike inhabitants. They were converted from the usual citizens of Arelon seemingly randomly. Certain event was happening to different people and they were transformed from normal people to these godlike creatures with silver skin and white hair. They used to have very long lives and some people consider them immortal and pretty much gods. They could use magic and they could transform different objects into food, they could heal people and perform different types of miracles. The event that turned normal people into Elantrians was called Sheod. But at some point a cataclysmic event happened, Riod, that stopped this conversion. And when a person struck by Sheod woke up after the Riod happened, they found themselves not being turned into this godlike creature, but looking like a zombie. Their skin turned grey with some blotches and they lost their hair. Their hearts stopped beating and people considered them dead. So after the Riod, this newly created Elantris were exiled into Elantris and they weren't allowed outside of the city. They were kept inside the Elantris with no food and no other amenities, seemingly to die, even though they couldn't because they were already dead. So in this standalone fantasy, we have three POVs. We are following Serene, Raoden, and Wraithen. Raoden is a prince. He is the son of the ruling king of Kai. Kai is the capital city of Arelon and it's located next to Elantris. Arelon's monarch is not very popular and it looks like he's bankrupting the country. But at the same time, his son Raoden used to be very popular. And he had great support from noblemen and from common people alike. But in the beginning of the book, he is being struck by Sheod and he turned into new Elantrians. And he is being exiled to Elantris. Serene is a Teo princess and she is being married off to Raoden as a part of a political alliance. She's being sent to Arelon without knowing that she will never meet her new husband. She arrives to Arelon to find out that her husband disappeared and people are saying that he is dead. But Serene is very suspicious about this disappearance. And her, being a very experienced political person, a diplomat, she's trying to find out what is actually happening. And she's trying to navigate this new political landscape of this new country. And Wraithen arrives to Arelon at the same time with Serene, and he is a high priest of Fjordan Empire. He comes to Arelon to convert people into Fjordish religion, so the Fjordan can control Arelon. So this is an initial premise of the book for some of you who actually haven't read it. But I already finished it and I did like it, but I didn't love it. And I would like to discuss it with you. And for some of you who read it and who read many other books by Brandon Sanderson, I would like to discuss it with you and actually ask for your opinion and recommendations. Because I'm wondering if I need to continue with Sanderson books and what I should read next. I think the world building was very intriguing and original. I really liked the background story behind the Elantris and all the political machinations that happen in the story. But I have a few issues with the book that maybe I personally didn't really appreciate. It doesn't mean that the book is bad. I think it's a good story, but it definitely wasn't a 5-star read for me. But at the same time, I understand that it was the first book by the author, and probably they still were trying to find their way as a writer. But my first complaint about the book is actually characters. I think the only character that I actually really enjoy following was Wraithen, the high priest of Fjordan Empire. He was a very complicated character with different motivations that were driving his actions. And I found it very fascinating to actually follow him. He appeared as a very intelligent person, but at the same time, very conflicted. And I found his personal struggles one of the most interesting parts of the book for me personally. I found his assistant Dilaf very interesting, but at the same time absolutely terrifying. He was one of these characters that you really despise, but you can't help but follow and be fascinated about. I think Raiden was just this very normal, very good person. And I think it's very important to have these people in our stories. Without this internal struggle, he was just genuinely very good person who was trying to do the best for people around him. And I did enjoy him, but at the same time, I didn't really find him particularly interesting to follow. But my main complaint about the characterization was actually lying with Serene. Because he was portrayed as this very intelligent and independent woman, but for me personally, I didn't see much intelligence there. In my opinion, there was lots of talking about her intelligence, but I didn't see much of it in her actions. And even in the moments when she seemingly managed to do something clever, it wasn't really that complicated. And in many moments, I found myself quite baffled, to be honest, because Serene is portrayed as this very intelligent person, but at the same time, she is very fast to judge other people. I don't think this is a sign of intelligence. She was very fast to judge other women in the story. And she was always very suspicious and genuinely biased towards other people in the story. I personally find following her quite frustrating, and I really didn't like her as a character. At the same time, I felt that the book had certain conveniences that didn't really make sense to me. Like, for instance, when Raiden was turned into Elantrian, he managed to recognize some other people that he met during his stay in Elantris, and he could recognize them as other people that he met before they turned into Elantrians. So we have an idea that even though Shao disfigures people, but not to the point that you can't recognize them completely. But what I found very baffling, when actually other people met Raiden in his new form, none of them managed to recognize him, even though some of these people were his best friends. I found this very, very convenient and baffling. I didn't see any other reason, and we weren't actually given any, why these people couldn't recognize him, even though he managed to recognize other people. And there are some other things, like small, I would say, things, when we encountered their sort of conveniences that didn't really make sense to me. And probably the last thing I would like to mention during this video is actually the final resolution, how Raiden managed to fix the Riot and the curse of Elantris. It happened so quickly, and I never really felt that the proper explanation was given. And I was a bit baffled when I finished the book because I couldn't really fully understand how exactly he managed to fix Curse of Elantris. It was literally one act, and even though we had very detailed explanation of other certain things that happen in the book, I felt personally that we never really were given proper explanation why he did this thing and why this particular thing fixed the Riot. I don't know, probably, I don't know, maybe it's just my thing. Let me know, but I was actually trying to Google it after that when I finished the book. And I found out that lots of other people were baffled as well. Which is very surprising to me, because this point was actually one of the biggest mysteries in the book. And we were literally, throughout the book, we were moving towards this resolution, towards the resolution of this mystery, to actually understand the curse of Elantris. But the resolution was so quick, without proper explanation, at least I didn't manage to find it. That, I mean, don't get me wrong, there was some other explanation in terms of movement of the land and so on. I don't really want to go into details because probably it will spoil the book for other people. But this particular act wasn't explained as far as I can see. And I still don't understand what was the solution for the curse. If you understood, please let me know, because I'm in the dark. I don't understand what happened. I would like to discover it. I think it was a very big letdown for me personally, and I would like to have a better resolution. But anyway, yes, those are my thoughts on Elantris. Uh, as I said already, I liked it, but I didn't love it. But at the same time, I heard that this book is not the best by Brandon Sanderson. Please let me know if you feel other books are plagued with similar issues, or if you think the books are actually improving, and what would you recommend me to read next? Because I think I'm still quite curious about Brandon Sanderson, because he is seen as a king of fantasy and his books are widely popular, even though I think recently he encountered quite lots of criticism based on his latest published book. But maybe there are some other books that you would recommend me to read. Please let me know, and I'll see you soon. Bye.